Danny. You guys, I am so excited to be here. I have missed you guys. Where the hell have I been? That's why I'm here today to give you guys a couple of different life updates because it's a new year, it's a new name, but it's still the same old me. Um, yeah, so let's start with the name change. I just don't identify with where this podcast originally started. And I just wanted a new name, a new fresh start, and an ability to move forward in the direction that I really want to and just kind of leave that behind. So bye bye X's and T podcast. We are now Steap Talk Podcast. And with the new changes and the new year, we have a new form of healing. At the beginning of February, I had a hysterectomy and I was diagnosed with endometriosis. Um, if I'm being honest, the last couple of years, it has been very hard for me to focus on anything social media related, let alone the podcast, the anti MLM movement itself. It has been really hard. And so, yeah, it was just necessary for me to investigate my physical health because it was impacting my mental health. And I'm really grateful that I did because over the last 10 years, I had been experiencing chronic pelvic pain to a debilitating level. And then it started to impact my physical health when it came to how tired I was. Listen, I understand I am not a spring chicken. I'm going to be 33 this year, but I'm still too young to be feeling that tired. There's no reason for it. And I'm grateful because, it took some time to find the right medical team, but I finally did. And for them, I'm very grateful. So if you are experiencing chronic pelvic pain or you have already been diagnosed with endometriosis, I'm here spiritually with you because it is hell. And the one thing I want to say is don't ever stop advocating for yourself because you're going to find a doctor who will listen to you. It might take some time, but you will. Um, so I'm excited because I am about 2 months post-op and I have more energy now than I have in a very long time, which means my mental health has been so much better. And I finally feel like I have the capacity to focus in on the anti-MLM movement and being able to spread the message. I'm really passionate about it. It's something that I've really enjoyed. And for a minute, it wasn't enjoyable. I went for a full year doing lots of interviews and really just spreading myself far too thin. And I also have two children who have very high needs. And honestly, I kind of just lost myself in all of the things that had been going on. Um, so, hi, if you're new here, my name is Danny. I was in Amway and the line of affiliation or tools business Worldwide Dream Builders. I primarily talk about anti MLM content. I was in a DV relationship and I like to spread awareness regarding domestic violence, as well as what it was like to be raised by a narcissistic parent. These are topics that I definitely plan to continue discussing. I do know that with me kind of making these changes, I might not be able to take as many interviews as I had before, but rest assured, I absolutely plan to have guests on. When I do open my calendar to having guests, I will absolutely make an announcement to do that. I just want to make sure that I have the capacity to give you guys the best of my time and to conduct the interviews with my best self. I think that you guys deserve it. I think the guests deserve that. But please continue to message me. All of my social media, otherwise, from Instagram to TikTok and YouTube, everything has been changed to at Steap Talk Podcast. Steap spelled STEAP because we still got to keep that T in there. Am I right? And so those are where you can find me. Please feel free to send me a DM on really any of the platforms, but you're more likely to get me on Instagram. So yeah, I'm excited. I have a lot of different ideas. I really want to try to bring more video content to you guys and utilize more of YouTube, as well as posting on Spotify, Apple Podcast. I think obviously feeling rejuvenated after everything had happened is great, but I think for a minute it was a little bit more challenging to be a part of this space just because I mean, if you guys had been in any of those high control groups, whether it was one of the different Amway tools businesses or any other MLM for that matter, you know what it's like to be compared against other people and to start to really doubt yourself and to feel like you're not doing enough. And it becomes really overwhelming. In addition to all of the other things that are going on in life, right? Everybody who has continued to support me and reach out to me despite my immense silence on social media, it means a lot to me. It really shows that the community that we have cultivated here is amazing, but it's also worth protecting. And so, with anybody who might be new and as a part of my reintroduction, I am very particular about the way that I share the anti MLM message. For me, the one thing that has been the most helpful and consistent across the board, I hear the same thing from other people, is that personal stories are extremely helpful. I always start every episode by letting everybody know that I'm speaking my personal opinions that are based on my personal experiences. I want to make it very clear I don't defame anybody. Okay. If I speak negatively about someone, which I do, right? I speak negatively about the different lines of affiliation, people as individuals, as well as the Amway Corporation as a whole, or whatever MLMs we're actually diving into at that time. I don't have nice things to say. But the one thing I'm going to do is I'm going to stick to the facts, right? If I experience something, it's alleged, right? It's me just sharing to you what I knew happened to me, or my guests are sharing what had happened to them, what they had witnessed, right? A lot of the time, it's easy to kind of fall into the trap that we want to say these people they're criminals. As far as I know, none of them have actually been convicted of any actual crimes. So I just want to make it very clear I do not defame anybody. That is not my goal. I think it's much more important to spread the personal stories and the awareness through factual information because I feel like that's the way that we're going to. I think reach the most people. I don't dive into the conspiracy route when it comes to the Amway Corporation. I know that there are other people out there who do. I will dive into things that are provable, like government ties, for example. Um, or so, for example, I also don't get political here, but this is one thing that I stand very firm on. I am not a MAGA supporter. I am not a Trump supporter. I actually think it's ironic if anybody claims to be anti Amway and pro Trump. If you guys know anything about the Amway Corporation, it was created by the DeVos and Van Andel families who have donated millions of dollars to the Trump administration during both of their campaign runs. Okay. In my humble opinion, they are one and the same. So I am against both. Um, and I do understand that there are aspects that are honestly outside of my scope of expertise. If I can find it and prove it, I will talk about it. If it's something that I've heard that I can comfortably say is alleged, I will say that. Um, but I'm going to personally stick to what I know, and that is sharing from the heart and having people just share what they've gone through. I love the sense of community that we have built here, and that's the route that I want to continue to go down. I really want to do this in good faith. And I stand on business. I don't like to exclude anybody. I'm not going to make everybody happy. Listen, I understand that. I've ruffled a couple of feathers because I'm willing to talk about marriages that, maybe have ended in these different organizations. And I explain why I do that because of how we've been treated, how these people were put on a pedestal. And that's important for me to talk about, right? But I also curse like a fucking sailor. And if you guys have been in an organization like Worldwide, like LTD, like URA, BWW, we this idea of like sharing from a stage was a fantastic idea because we all have a story, and it's really important that we all share it. We didn't go through some of the hell that we've all been through, whether it be from these culty-like environments or personal lives. We didn't go through it for nothing. And I personally think that sharing that information can be helpful to other people. But on a worldwide stage, there was no fucking way in hell I was ever going to be able to be myself. And they were very clear about that. But ultimately, this is a space where people can be themselves. And I really like to let people know as well that I am a very pro LGBTQ plus supporter and an ally. And I like everybody to feel comfortable here. If there's one thing that I absolutely hated from these organizations was the political and religious manipulation. I'm not a person of faith myself, but I love having other people of faith come on and teach me things. But I just wanted to stand very firm on the subjects that I brought up because those are not negotiable for me. Those are not agree to disagrees. Okay. We are not tolerant of homophobia, transphobia, any sort of hateful comments towards any minority groups or any groups for that matter here. I have rambled so much. But yeah, you guys will see a lot more from me, hopefully. I say hopefully, yes, this year. And please continue to comment. Please continue to spread the message. And just know that I am so grateful for everybody here. I mean, I just can't even. I always say it, and I am repeating myself, which I have a number of times already. But you know, it just really means a lot to see how helpful this has been for other people because hearing that helps me and my own healing journey because sometimes and I'm sure like we all do, right, we start to wonder like am I making a difference, am I doing the right thing? um but I'm very confident in knowing that this podcast has been incredibly helpful and it would really be a disservice for me to stop doing it. So let's have a great 2026, you guys. Let's make sure that we are all doing our very best to spread the message, being nice, and not joining any cult like environments. Okay. All right, you guys. As I mentioned before, you guys can find me on social media at Steap Talk Podcast, Steap being spelled STEAP. You guys can still email me at DANI at xsandtpodcast.com. Again, stay tuned for the updated email address when that does get changed. And I will catch you guys in the next episode. See you later.